Scott Walter is the president of Capital Research Center and the author of Arabella, the dark money network of leftist billionaires secretly transforming America. And Scott, thank you for coming on. So just tell us, first off, I want to get your prediction here about what 2024 will look like with all of this dark money on one side.
Well, you're right. Arabella is essentially a Democratic Party apparatus. Yeah. And all of their hard political work will definitely be going simply to advance the Democratic Party's agenda.
Yeah, and it's not, just so people, kind of the theme I wanted to present here is that, I mean, there's a reason why we always seem to have some kind of far left movement in this country that's very angry and is very passionate. This is not organic, though. This is not grassroots. A lot of this is funded by very, very wealthy people that want to control this country in one way or another.
Yes, the Arabella network, staggeringly, has created over 500 fake groups over the course of its lifetime. Floridians for a fair shake and wonderful things like that. And they want you to think it's your neighbors who are upset about something, when in fact, it's just some guy in a DC office with a new accounting code creating a new website and paying for some Facebook ads.
It is something else. The common goal among these billionaire donors is stopping Trump, making the government bigger, more powerful, less individual freedoms. Do you think that this dark money bought the last election? I mean, you look at just the Zuck bucks alone. I mean, hundreds of millions was allowed to be aimed to basically only turn out more Democrat voters. And of course, the machine had no problem with that whatsoever.
No, none at all. And by the way, we only learned a year after the 2020 elections that Arabella's network threw in $25 million more to the Zuckbuck operation on top of the $420 million that he put in.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, it feels to me like there's a handful of people in this country that have a lot of money, and they have a tremendous amount of wealth and white guilt that comes with that money. And it's the system that we have that's allowed them to gain this tremendous wealth. They don't want to give that money back, and they don't want to be poor, but they also want to push an agenda that will cripple this country, to socialize this country, to drag us to the left, to introduce this kind of Marxism into this country. What do you say about these people?
Well, I think you're right that part of the motivation is certainly guilt, right? Because according to their own ideas, they're the most evil people alive by having been successful economically. Yeah. But at the same time, what I noticed the pattern for the Arabella network, for instance, it's always about more power and money for those elites that are operating this little machinery, and less for you and anybody watching your broadcast.
Well said. Scott Walter, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Great to be with you.
Smith is the head of the Ways and Means Committee, a committee investigating the money that's funding all of this anti-Israel chaos in this country. And sir, it's good to have you back on. Starting right there, what exactly have you found at this point?
I'll tell you, we have been looking at the flow of this money since October 7th. In fact, November was our first hearing. We have came up with a lot of very concerning information. I mean, think about this. You have millions of dollars that have flown from tax-free 501c to terrorist organizations. That's really alarming. That's why we passed the David Kustoff bill just 2 weeks ago out of the House of Representatives. But it's continuing disturbing of how you're seeing these 501c's tax-exempt organizations and how they've been operating. There's more than $3 trillion worth of revenues that we've uncovered that falls underneath the tax 501c tax exempts. We need to make sure that they are using it according to the law.
It's certainly the case. I mean, we're looking at some of the numbers of these, prominent left-wing, either multimillionaire or billionaires that basically are buying power in this country through the Democrat Party, and are the reason that I think the Democrat Party has moved so far to the left and has still been able to somehow attain power. It's illegal for foreigners to donate money to political causes and candidates in this country, but they are allowed to donate to these umbrella organizations like Arabella, which we're talking about tonight, which then funnel that money to political causes. So they've obviously found that loophole here. It's very destructive for the country. our country's politics is being greatly influenced by people that largely hate this country and hate the freedom of this country.
That's exactly right, Rob. We have found where hundreds of millions of dollars have flown into these 501c3s and 501c4s from, for example, a Swiss billionaire. And you see that money that's coming in and interfering with U.S. elections. It is illegal for any candidate to federal office to receive money from a foreigner. However, you're seeing foreigners give that money to 501c3s and c4s that are involved in elections.
Yep.
It's also important to note that you've seen in several instances where millions of dollars have came in from Chinese companies pushing environmental policy in the United States that helps benefit those Chinese companies while hurting U.S. companies.
Is there anything that, I mean, how do you stop this from happening? I mean, would it take 67 votes in the Senate to prevent something like this? Is it just one of those things that we're always going to have to deal with?
Well, we are working on some legislation, in fact, to create more sunlight to any money that's coming in from foreign sources. That should be publicly documented, and they should not, if a 501c receives money from a foreign entity, they should not be able to use any money in their 501c in U.S. elections. That should just be simple. That should be the basic. But we're moving forward in the next week with some legislation to make sure that we are doing just that.
I mean, isn't it something that, I mean, you've got a political party that all they do is talk about saving democracy and the importance of saving democracy, and it's such a radical regime, and it's funded by this dark money. They don't want any transparency around the money that's funding their initiatives as they drag the country further and further to the left. It's the ultimate irony that the Democrat Party is the one that is trying to hide all this dark money from our politics.
Rob, it's all these liberal progressives that are funding the hate rallies that you're seeing across college campuses. That is anti-America, anti-democratic, and it's very anti-Semitic, but it's funded by these progressive liberals.
Exactly right. Congressman Smith, we appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.